and he cares nothing for their praise, men who can't even meet their own standards. What's the meaning of life? This is a question that everybody wants an answer to. They ask it, they've seen it everywhere, they've discussed it, and no one has an answer. No one has a definitive answer except Peter Ralston. I haven't seen anyone come up with a good answer except Peter Ralston, and I will be passing on his teachings in this video because I think not knowing the meaning of life is detrimental. I wouldn't want to die before knowing the meaning of life. Seriously. So you're going to do yourself a disservice if you click off of this video, because realize that I'm only making it because I really want you to know this stuff. That's why I make videos in general. Everything I say in this video has nothing to do with belief, and you can verify everything I say through direct personal experience in this very moment. First of all, let's look at the question. What is the meaning of life? So we have two things that are particularly interesting. You've got meaning and you've got life, and we need to dissect these two before we can come to any conclusion. What is life? Life is whatever you're doing right now. Seriously, whatever you're doing right now, that's what you call life, right? Of course, it's the overall context of everything that you do, but that only exists in your mind as past and future. The only thing you can actually verify is the moment you're in right now. You can only refer to life in this moment. Without this moment, well, I guess you would be dead. The next question is, where is life? And I'm asking this question so that you realize that what is life and where is life is actually the same question. Life only exists now. What is life? It's whatever you're doing right now. Where is life? It is here, right now, and nowhere else. Seriously, time is just a psychological phenomenon. It only exists in your mind. If you actually observe what you're doing without thinking, you'll realize that the only way of perceiving time is through thinking about it. There is no time except the time that you think about. Again, we can use time as a tool. That's a perfectly okay thing to do. It's very helpful actually in modern society, but it does not exist, and we need to acknowledge this. The next question might seem hard, but it is actually really simple. What is meaning? Because again, we're talking about the meaning of life, so we need to know what meaning is. Meaning is perceiving something and then relating it to ourselves. So we can perceive a tree. We can see the color and the shape of the tree. But if we don't apply meaning to the tree, it's just a color and a shape in our visual field, right? So I have to associate some thoughts and emotions to the tree, and this creates meaning. This is what we call meaning. So meaning is entirely subjective. It is something you create, it is something you can change. And so the next question is, where does meaning live? Where does meaning exist? The human mind, thoughts. That is where meaning lives. Meaning only lives in the mind. It lives nowhere else. If you turn off your thoughts and you just observe whatever you're doing right now, you'll notice that things don't have any inherent meaning. Now, before I tell you the truth in this manner, the only truth in this manner, by the way, I want to share some practical takeaways from the things that we've discussed so far. The meaning of life can only exist right now. So you could also say that the meaning of life is now. It is whatever you're doing. It is not some thought, not some emotion, not some event, not some purpose. It is whatever you're doing right now. Why? Why am I so sure of this? Because the only thing that actually exists in your life is now. Whatever you're doing, there's nothing else to your life. You have to realize this. You can't go on living in the past and the future. That is a recipe for being stressed and unhappy. You have to realize that your life only exists right now and nowhere else. The second insight comes from the truth. And the truth is that life is meaningless. That's not a bad thing. You see, you apply meaning to the word meaningless, and that's why you're going to react negatively when I say this. You're applying meaning to it. Meaningless means with no meaning, which means that if you're reacting negatively, you're adding meaning to it. What I'm saying is that there is no meaning to life. Just like there's no food in an empty plate, there is no meaning to life. It's not bad to have an empty plate. It doesn't mean anything. It depends on which context, but we're talking about no context whatsoever here. That is what we're talking about. There is no meaning to life, and listen closely, because we create meaning in our minds, and our minds have nothing to do with the true nature of reality. They're just a tool. That's it. But here comes the great power and meaninglessness. If life had some inherent meaning, then you wouldn't be free. Why? Because if you were born into a world where your meaning was predestined, then you had no choice in the matter. Do you understand what I mean? If the meaning of life was predestined, if there was actually an answer, then you wouldn't be free to create it. But you are free to create it. Ultimately, there is no meaning, of course. But as a human being, if you want to look at it from the human perspective, you're free to create the meaning of life. Because there's no answer. No one else's meaning matters because you have no experience of it, except your own created meaning. And you can change it whenever you want. That's the thing. That means that you have ultimate freedom, which is extremely beautiful news. Because not only have you answered the question, not only do you understand that the life that you live only exists right now, which is very freeing, by the way, because you'll stop living in your head, you also realize that meaning is up to you. Lastly, I never mentioned the nature of reality. I never mentioned how consciousness actually works. If you want to know more about that, then tell me to make a video about it. Get this video to 100 likes and I'll make a video about it. Otherwise, I have a section in my book under the commandment of stress where I go over this because I think it's important for human health. Go and achieve excellent health. I know you can do it.